Hello, this is your host Hoshana Sanders. Welcome back to Black Book Stacks, and I am here to share March releases with you that I have enjoyed, that I have had, some of them for a couple of months and others just for a very short while, but I'm going to do them in order, reverse order of when I received them. So Hood Feminism, Notes from the Women That A Movement for God, sorry, my hand was over, by Mickey Kendall is one that I just started reading. I got this from Viking and Penguin Random House, and I'm really looking forward to continuing to read it. It comes out February 25th, so not quite March, but I'm really excited to dig into it during Women's History Month. And I like Mickey Kendall's work, and just read her op-ed in the New York Times about suffering with an eating disorder as a Black woman, and I think the title was something like Why a Black Girl Might Want to Shrink, and I thought that was like brilliant and right on, and it's the kind of perspective that we just never see, so I was really excited to see it. I've had this one for quite some time, Daylight by Roya Marsh, who, like me, is a Bronx native. Shout out to the Boogie Down. And I found it to be a really stark and beautiful portrayal of the Black Butch experience in particular, or as she puts in one of her poems, Butch Passing, and possibly I think in the intro. I've looked through it a couple times and read it back in the winter. So anyway, I think there's a lot here to be excited about. If you've never heard or seen Roya perform, you're in for a treat. The same really I think heartfelt and passionate and humorous, sarcastic, witty delivery that you get when Roya is performing is also here on these pages. So that's a really beautiful one. I also really love this cover. And so I think if this is an FSG MCD by FSG Originals. This is what it looks like here. And it came with this really cool bookmark. Hold on. So yeah, you should definitely check it out. FSG2020.com is on the bookmark, but yeah, definitely check out Daylight. It comes out March 31st, so at the end of the month. I am still making my way through A Phoenix Must First Burn. A Phoenix First Must Burn. And I'm a little bit more than halfway through. I have really enjoyed Elizabeth Acevedo's short story here, which is called Gilded. It's fascinating. It is set in 1521. Rebecca Roanhorse has a piece in here that I liked. Let's see. I wasn't as much a fan of Amory's work. Honestly, I think maybe just because I just didn't resonate with it as much, but her piece starts the collection, but there's just like so much strong and amazing fantasy here. Justina Ireland's Melly is also here, and I've made my way through L.L. McKinney's The Goddess Provides, and that was amazing. And now I'm making my way through Danielle Clayton's Hearts Turn to Ash, which is also awesome. If you like her works, the works, then you'll be into it. So anyway, this one comes out, I believe it's March 3rd, but I could be wrong about that. March 10th is when it comes out. So anyway, this is still a galley. I'm sure that the finished book is much more beautiful, but March 10th is when that one drops. I think that this one It's March 3rd. Okay, cool. Yes. So Grey Wolf, thank you. Shout out to Grey Wolf Press for sending me this galley as requested by me. I am a huge fan of Natalie Diaz. I think she is both amazing to listen to. I think I maybe have a crush on her because she's tall and she has like just this really amazing presence. But I think it's more that she is very empowered in the way that she presents her work, which is definitely not rare anymore, thankfully, right? I think it's easy for us to really stand up for our work and to really like ride for it, if that makes any sense, right? Because I mean, as a writer, you put your writing in the world and you hope that people are going to like it, but then at the same time you need to have a little bit of fearlessness about defending the work when people may or may not get it or read it right or understand all of what you're trying to do. So anyway, I love the fierce way with which Natalie Diaz organizes this collection. I love that there are quotes of Rihanna. I love that there is, it takes two to make a thing go right. Like that is actually referenced in a poem here, which is unbelievable. Like it made me smile when I was reading this in the subway. And also that there's this link between the Native American experience and like for instance when it comes to police brutality, which is something that is hard. It's hard to make the tragedy and the impact on the Black community fresh because there's so much that's been written about it in reaction to it. But here what you see is a link not just to the number of Native Americans who've been killed by police, but also their connection to Blackness, as Black people have also been hunted by police. And so there's that connection, that multicultural connection that doesn't feel rote. It feels very real, tangible, visceral, and also manages to be beautiful. The love poem part of this is also really, I think, splendidly done. There are just lines here that are really breathtaking. So anyway, if you pick it up, I'd love to hear what your thoughts are. Comes out March 3rd. And Natalie Diaz is fantastic. So there's that. Okay. My last book here is by James McBride. This also comes out on March 3rd. I was not all caught up on James McBride when I had the pleasure of being assigned a review of this book by Time, and so I went ahead and rushed to Libby and listened to The Good Lord Bird and cracked up listening to it. It was one of those books that I always meant to read, but I didn't get a chance to. And then reading through this one was just amazing because it very much feels like when it opens, you're not sure that you are going to be into the narrator. He is this, his name is Sportcoat. He's a deacon, he's drunk, and you're just not sure if you trust his perspective. And as it turns out, there will be multiple characters whose perspectives feel a little bit unreliable. But this is set in 1979, and it's a time of it's 1969, and it's a time of chaos and silly cops, and it's like a little bit of a cops and robbers kind of scenario in the Cause Houses, which is the center of activity in Brooklyn. And Sportcoat shoots the neighborhood day drug dealer in the middle of daylight and in the middle of the cause houses where everybody can see it. Everybody who's grown up in New York City, and especially if you've grown up near or in projects, you know there's always those nosy people who are like staring, hanging out the window, probably talking to their neighbors on the phone if they're not like calling police. And so you can imagine what it was like back in the day when people actually had phones like connected to the actual wall in some way or form. You know, like I remember when wireless was like the new joy, you know. But anyway, so you have these people who are there's such nostalgia and there's such funny like Black cultural things that come up, but not just for Black folks here either. There's also a connection to the Italian Americans, the Irish Americans in the neighborhood. There's an Irish cop who kind of has a thing for one of the Black women at the church, and there's an Italian kind of mobster type who is set to inherit his father's you know, kind of criminal enterprise, who like has a thing for this woman, or has a thing for like the daughter of, you know, his boss, who lives in the Bronx. And so the Bronx comes in and I'm like, woo, yay Bronx. And so yeah, it's just a really well done, entertaining, fun novel. It is about 360 something pages, 370, and yeah, I think it's definitely worth picking up. I'd be curious to hear what all of you have to say, especially if you're fans of James McBride and you've been waiting for a follow-up. I believe that is his first novel since The Good Lord Bird. I had a great time reading it. I was really struck, and I've said this in a couple places. I think I said it on Twitter, but I was struck by the vulnerability of the male characters and the yearning and like the really raw desire that they expressed in the book. Like it just was. It's not something I'm familiar with seeing, and I think maybe that has to do with the fact that I mostly read women, and I read cis Black women, mostly. So I don't ever really get a glimpse into male vulnerability, you know, like or a world, a universe that isn't centered on some kind of toxic masculinity or some kind of misshapen masculinity. So this was like, in that regard, it was a total revelation. It was beautiful to see. It was fun to read. So I hope that if you're so inclined that you'll check it out. I'll put the link to my review in the description box below. That's what I have for March. Let me know what you're looking forward to reading in the month ahead. I'm excited to see what is on your to be read lists. I will share my updates as I go. I have a big stack of books, as you can imagine, but yeah, hopefully I'll be able to pare it down and get some stuff actually finished, but we'll see. Anyway, looking forward to talking to you soon. Thanks again for all your likes, shares, and subscribes. If you're not a subscriber, would love to have you as a subscriber. So hit the notification bell so you get my updates when they come out. And I will see you again soon. Take care.